Welcome back to Out of the Rough. I'm joined by my friend Debbie Wolpert. Debbie Wolpert, physical therapist at Vargo Physical Therapy with you and your husband?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
We're
Known
partners.
Eric since the high school days?
Yeah, isn't that fantastic? That now we live in the same valley.
Same valley, and
Yeah.
you're doing great things for kids, and you're doing
Yeah.
great things for adults in the recovery of athletics. I want to talk about kids' athletics specifically over the next 6 minutes.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, in the past, I've been a physical therapist for almost 20 years, and in the past 10 years especially, we've seen such a dramatic increase in the number of kids that we're seeing for physical therapy, and I think part of it is, you know, yes, doctors are realizing that early intervention is key, but I think also, too, the way that sports have changed and the way athletics have changed has made a huge impact. And yes, I'm a physical therapist, and yes, I earn income by people getting injured, but I think it's important to just start looking at things because it's not going in a healthy direction.
So let's talk about that healthy direction, because
Yeah.
sports have changed where you have, let's say, a young man or young girl playing baseball or soccer year-round.
Yes.
Versus several sports
Yes.
that tax different muscles. I mean, you're doing the same repetitive motion. You're
Yes.
throwing, you're kicking, you're swinging, you're doing whatever you do year-round.
Exactly, and you know, doing multi-sports in a year's time, it gives the other muscles and the different movements a rest period of active recovery, and yet the kids are still active, but they're doing things differently. And when you do the same thing day in and day out, and it just creates more overuse injuries, and that's what we're seeing a lot of. And the problem is that, you know, we're seeing some that are so severe that it's career-ending for these kids when they're in high school. And, you know, I just hope to bring about a conversation to talk about perspective. You know, I, as a physical therapist, want to promote a lifelong love of activity because then that's going to better people's lives. And so I just hope that by creating a conversation, we can start athletes, parents, coaches on a track of just thinking about the big picture and taking a realistic look at, okay, do you want to push right now with a child that might not have, you know, the innate natural ability and work ethic to, you know, go to play in college and professional sports? Or do you want to create, you know, just a healthy balance? And so,
Well, one thing you'd mentioned is that, well, we talked about is they're playing year-round, but they're playing year-round with the same coach,
Yeah.
which isn't necessarily bad, but the same coach has his same routine.
Yeah.
So even if we can get out to the coaches, change things up. If you have an
Yes.
athlete that's playing with you year-round,
Yes.
change the drills up, change the kind of the way the children learn.
yeah, and also talk to the athlete, the parents, the coaches about maybe what's their goal for the year. Is it to peak in athletic, you know, strength and conditioning during the championships, or is it, you know, something else? And what I'm seeing is kids are playing for club, you know, sports, and they're playing for high school. And there's, you know, yes, their club sport might have a championship, you know, event at this time of year, but then their high school has another one, and then they're training for that, and then they're going to, you know, be in front of college scouts. And so there's no peak with a month of active recovery in it, you know, right after that to help create a balance and a healthier way of training.
You make a really interesting point. Is you're playing year-round baseball or you're playing a year-round sport, and then you immediately go to this another coach
Yes.
that wants excellence out of you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And
And
so I think
that
it's
can be
just,
tough.
it's a responsibility of the parent, I think, to just talk with the child, talk with the coaches that this child is playing for, and just create a big game plan and say, you know what, and just prioritize in a smart way.
And what's the big
So-
picture? That's important. Let's talk about, they don't use this word anymore, Hell Week, but it's now
Yeah.
camp.
Yes.
Because they can't use that word.
Yeah.
But preparing before you go to camp. I remember
Yes.
when I went to boot camp many years ago, about 25 years ago. I prepared before I went, so I was in great shape. But some
Yeah.
people, that was when they first started stretching and
Yes.
running and so forth.
And there are a lot of
Prepare
injuries.
before you go to your boot camp or your
Yeah.
training
And
week.
also, there are some sports that have cross training. You know, like my kids are swimming right now, and so they do a dry land portion of their training. And you know, at certain times of the year, they really just jump into it. And if the coach and the parents and the athletes know that that's coming, and you know you're a swimmer, but you're going to be starting to run in a month, you know, get out there and run smartly. And then there are just certain things to take into consideration. Like there was one person 2 weeks ago that came in, foot pain, and the x-rays were fine, nothing was wrong, but he was in this intense pain, and it was because he started dry land just running 5 miles right off the bat, but he also ran in his he's a high school senior, and he ran in his shoes that he had since 8th grade. So those kind of things.
Or his Vans. You bring up some really important. My son first started running cross country with varsity as a freshman, and they were running 5-6 miles, and he was injured all summer.
Yeah.
Start off slow. Swimming, I love.
Yes,
What a great sport.
It is.
And
It's
also
fantastic.
the kids that come around swimming are just
Yeah,
fantastic.
the camaraderie and the...
Couple tips real quick.
Okay.
Hydrate well.
Yes, definitely hydrate. You need electrolytes. You need to eat well. You need to cut back on sugar and eat, the right amount of proteins and carbs. But also, just be smart. Like I said, wear the right equipment, wear the right shoes. And, for girls especially, it's important for us to learn how to jump and land correctly, because we're shaped differently. We have different angles in our hips and knees. And jumping and landing improperly, especially if you're in, basketball or volleyball or sports with a lot of jumping and landing, it can predispose you to a greater risk of injury, especially ACL injuries later on. And, just talk with your parents and communicate. And parents have an active role in, just what your child is doing. And then a couple other things. While kids are growing, we're seeing a lot more of, tendonitis injuries and so forth, because people don't realize that the bones grow, but the muscles don't necessarily grow. They take time to stretch. And so stretching is a big thing. I know it's not cool when you're in junior high and high school to take some time to stretch, but it's so important to prevent injuries. And then also remember that kids are growing and their growth plates haven't stopped until they've actually stopped growing. And it's important to not do any heavy weightlifting until they've
Well, you're going to get some football coaches who might not like that.
I know.
Yeah,
That's why I've been hesitant to come on the show for so long now.
Yeah. Well, those Vargo Physical Therapy, those who want to reach out to you or Eric to get some advice?
Absolutely. You can go to vargopt.com. Our office here is 661-259-2621. Yep. And those would probably be the best ways to reach us.
Debbie, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Out of the Rough. If you'd like to watch this online, go to scvtv.com or fredarnold.com. If you have some questions or want to suggest a great guest such as Debbie, go ahead and email me, fred@fredarnold.com. Well, I hope this information helps get you out of the rough and into success. Until we talk again, make it a great day. Bye-bye.